Alright, what's going on, guys? My name is Mythic, and welcome back to another review. This is going to be the Guardians of the Galaxy, my honest, unbiased review of the game. Dropped last week. I've been taking my time to play it, really get through it. I didn't want to rush. I didn't want to force my way through it just to get out a review in a couple of days. I want to play it thoroughly. Like I said before in my other review, I don't have early review copies, so I take some time to play it, find collectibles, whatever. I'm probably going to platinum this game. I ended up platinuming Far Cry 6. These are really easy platinums. So what do I think of this game? I've been hearing so many things. Even before I got it, I was hearing it's either really good, really bad. I'm hearing people say it's better than the Arkham games. It's one of the top superhero games coming out. So this is what I think, honestly. So I'm going to start off with the story elements. What do y'all need to know about the story? Okay, so without spoiling too much, the game, right off the bat, you're gonna know that you're only playing as Peter, honestly, and I will get more into that in the combat and everything. But this didn't bug me that you're playing mainly as like Peter Quill, Star-Lord, because I'm mainly a solo player myself. I don't really like using companions or anything, only if I have to for like review sense or anything. But I don't really like keeping companions on me, but I enjoyed it more because I like focusing on more story. For Peter, you get more background to him and everything, and yes, it still does involve the Guardians, so you never really feel like it's kind of just a one-man show type thing. You do feel like you're a team. So basically the story, again, it, like I said just now, revolves around Peter, but the Guardians have only been together for I'd say about a year, where they're a team, but they haven't formed that family bond yet, if you know what I mean. So that's, at the start, they're really like rough, tough, kind of still, they know each other, but they're not, like, Drax doesn't fully trust Gamora yet because she's the daughter of Thanos, right? So he's still kind of hesitant. He calls her the assassin. He doesn't really trust her. So there you go. It's a team, but they're not that close yet. So this game, it does give a lot of more backstory and origin story to Star-Lord. It establishes their I don't even know what really universe this would be, because I know this was produced by Square Enix but wasn't made by them, but I guess this is their own separate universe. So they gave him his very own origin story, backstories. You hear more about what happened to Rocket, you hear more about Drax, same thing with Gamora, and these are very, very good story moments. But this isn't the main plot of the game. The main plot of the game is Peter Quill basically gets involved with the Nova Corps at the start. This is not really too spoilers. Does something to the Nova Corps. He is charged with a fine. He has to pay it off, and when he goes to pay off this fine, he uncovers something that is going on and threatens the fate of the galaxy, and it involves his own consequences from his past. He has to learn to let go in this game. A lot of learning to let go and move on, but it is very good. The character, the voice actors are amazing in this game. Like, if I could show an example right now of the banter that goes on when you're fighting.
Yes! I can't believe that worked.
Half work.
Come on, it's like 50% less wet.
I'm 0% interested.
And... crap!
It must still be stuck somewhere.
Alongside the other Guardians, or even just walking around. The banter is amazing. It feels so immersive. It's very spot on, from Drax all the way to Groot. I've never felt once taken out or something was corny, something like that. It feels like things they'd actually be talking to each other about. It feels actual, real, and authentic. Okay. And so when it goes with this game is very story driven. I know they've already said it before, but don't expect, because I thought it would be somewhat open world. You could visit different planets, but no, that's not the case at all. This game is split up into 16 different chapters, kind of quick depending on how fast you play this game. I say if you really sat down and didn't get up, you could beat this game in about 3 days, maybe less. I say this game 20 to 30 hours roughly, which isn't too long, which is kind of short, honestly, for like an $80, $90 price tag with tax and everything. But it is a very enjoyable game. I really do like, in some parts you get to visit, I forget what the name of the world is called. It's not Nowhere, it was another, it's not Sakara, I forget the name right now, it's eluding me, but you get to visit the Collector, his Emporium. You don't get to see the actual Collector, but you get to see his Emporium. A lot of Easter eggs in there, new characters they introduced in this story too, that is not very, it's not in the MCU yet. I don't want to spoil who they introduce, but you get to hear, they don't actually introduce him in the game. You get to hear about Nova, and I know the MCU just casted the Nova and they're playing it out, but there are other people who are in this game that get introduced, and looking forward to the MCU. It's kind of a good thing, you know, because a lot of the casuals will probably not know who they are, and this will give them a better understanding of who these people are, what's coming to the MCU in the future. And I like that there are a lot of Easter eggs in this game, a lot of things that aren't usually talked about in the MCU. You get a more deeper look at certain things. There's even Frog Thor in this game, and the frog version of Mjolnir was in this game. So I love those things. I love scounging around, finding little like trinkets, little boxes around each levels to upgrade Star-Lord. You're even finding his outfits. You know, the outfits are one of the better parts of this game. You know, there's some comic accurate outfits, there's some movie accurate outfits, and there's some original outfits from the game for each of the characters. You know, not even just for Star-Lord, there's some for Gamora, Drax, Rocket, and Groot, you know, and they each have their own backstory. They say when the costume first appeared in comics, if it did appear in comics, or if it was in the movie. And there's a lot of things to find around these levels. You know, they don't really feel empty, they don't really feel hollow. And all in all, story-wise and like Easter eggs-wise, I love this game. It's very emotional once you get to the end of it. You do really feel for Quill and the whole team and things that they're going through and things that they have to deal with. So gameplay. Let's move on to gameplay. And how is the gameplay at the end of the day? You know, because story can carry a game, but not fully. You know, you need the gameplay to match. It's mostly 50-50. So combat is immersive, it's fun, it doesn't get too repetitive because of the length of the actual game. I would say I feel like if this went on any longer, then maybe it could start to get repetitive, but for me personally, I didn't feel like I was dragging through this game. I didn't feel like it was hard to get through. I didn't feel like I was just like dragging my feet through mud type thing, you know, and just wanting to get to the next section. You know, I felt like the combat was very fun because there are different enemy types that come throughout the game. And because Peter Quill has his special blasters throughout the game, you unlock different type of elements. So like your gun could have a cold element, a heat, like a I think it's plasma, whatever it is, heat. There's like a pull type, electricity. So for different enemies, you have to use different combinations for your guns. And with the guns too, they're like energy guns, so you can keep firing it and they get overheated. But you can have essentially what's like a perfect release, and basically it has like a green. When they're recharging, you just fire in the green squares. It might come up in the gameplay, you might see it, but you fire in the green squares and it's like an automatic reload, so you don't have to wait for that cooldown. And it's like a huge blast that you don't have to worry about. And that adds another layer to the game, because if you miss that window to shoot perfectly in, the guns will just jam and you have to wait a couple seconds for them to cool down. So I like that. It adds a little thing you got to pay attention to midway. It's not solely just Peter when you're in combat. You know, you have the Guardians. This is where I state that it didn't bug me too much that I couldn't play as the other Guardians. So basically, you have the Guardians and you have all the usual characters, and when you're attacking, you can tell them what to do. You can tell Groot mainly, he's like, they all play a certain way. So Groot, he kind of holds them in place. He deals what they call staggering damage, which is kind of like stagger them, lower their armor, makes them more vulnerable. So he holds bigger enemies, he holds smaller enemies, sometimes he lifts them into the air. Gamora, she does a high amount of damage, so you can call her in and she'll do either one single sword strike to one enemy, which will do a high amount of damage, or she will do like, she can like slash with other enemies and that'll do like moderate to medium damage. Drax is like a strong dude, so he helps stagger them, he helps do high amounts of damage. Rocket, he likes to stay away, he likes to keep his distance, and he likes to shoot, or he'll throw grenades for you. So they each have their own special abilities, and they'll eventually unlock their ultimate abilities. Each of them have their own ultimate abilities. Like, I think Groot is like to heal everybody. Star-Lord, his ultimate ability was he goes invincible for a little bit. So after a while, and then there is a recharge effect to these abilities, so after you use one, you have to wait a little bit for the cooldown. But it's not like, I wouldn't say you're waiting too long for it to cool down, so it does make it enjoyable. It does make it fast. The gameplay is fun. You got to know what to time with who, because you can tell Groot to hold this guy, and then Gamora to hit him, and then put this guy over here. It's like, it's very strategical, not too like high levels Age of Empires strategy, but you should know like when you're fighting certain enemies what to do here, how to weaken this enemy, where to place who where, what to use, what damage, you know. Like Star-Lord has his own special abilities too, like he can fly up in the air, he can do like unlimited like ammo from his blasters for a few seconds, or he could go invincible, as I stated before. So there's things like that, and once you get the enemies weak enough, you can do a special type ultimate finisher. I was playing on PS5, so if you press triangle and circle together, everyone comes in at once and like beats the guy down and does like an ultimate finisher. And that's pretty much when it goes to like team gameplay, you know. Star-Lord does have melee. He does have you can run up and press like the melee button for PlayStation 5 is square to hit the enemies. Basically nothing really too special. There's not like a heavy attack or like light attack. It's just square. Sometimes though, when I was fighting the Nova Corps, they will counter, and you have to like, it's like a quick time event, just press triangle to quickly counter, but I didn't encounter that a lot. It was kind of just square, they're done. Hitting them, it's button mashing when it comes to melee, so I think it was kind of boring, but it didn't really bother me too much when it came to melee. They could have fixed that. Maybe if they have a sequel, they can fix that, make it more kind of entertaining. It kind of felt just generic when it came to melee. Puzzle solving is a big thing. Not really a big thing, but when you're exploring outside of these combat sections, you have to use the other Guardians to help you out. So Gamora, she can reach up high places. She can basically stick her sword in the wall, provide like an anchor to help you get up higher places you can't really reach. Drax is super strong, so he can lift up rocks or anything else you need to help you get to higher places. Was it Rocket? He likes to blow things up, and he can go into small crevices that normally other people can't reach. And Groot provides like he can lift platforms for you, and also he can provide bridges for you. So each of the Guardians have their own special type of unique ability they can do to help you out with these puzzle sections. Puzzles aren't too hard. They're not like Uncharted level. They're pretty basic. They're just like get from one place to another, freeze this, open up this. Nothing too complicated, so you won't deal with anything. Star-Lord has his own special ability too. It's kind of his visor, basically like detective mode from Arkham Asylum. You put it on, you can see things highlighted, things you can interact with, things you can move. You can scan and find out more information about enemies, or you can find out more information about the environment around you. And it does help a lot. One thing I should mention though, back to combat, is when you fill up a bar, and this is something I forgot to mention earlier, when you fill up a bar where where the team icons are, you unlock something called a huddle. And basically it takes a pause in the action. You unlock a little like huddle up animation. Everyone huddles around you, goes into first person, and they start talking to you, and then these words appear on screen behind their heads. So basically Star-Lord has to rally the team, tell them something encouraging, using those words that appeared on screen into the dialogue options provided. So if you choose the wrong one, only you'll get energized and receive a damage buff, but if you choose the right sort of dialogue, everyone will get this damage buff. And then that's where the music comes in. That's where Star-Lord puts his headphones on, and everyone gets this crazy damage buff. You can use as many abilities as you want. They recharge insanely quick. Damage goes through the roof. You pretty much can't die. It's pretty much super helpful. That huddle, and the soundtrack, I will get into it later. It is amazing. This is really the only time you can listen to it, aside from story set pieces, that you can listen to the soundtrack. Aside with the team dynamics too, when you're walking around, you can talk to your team. You can make certain choices in the game and in the story too that will affect things coming on later in the story, but also your reputation or relationships with the other Guardians. You could either, there's some parts here in the gameplay you'll see me, you can either side with Drax, or no, side with Gamora, side with Rocket, be like, is this enemy gonna appear, is this enemy appear, and the Star-Lord will be like, oh, I agree with Rocket, whatever. But some will have more lasting effects in dialogue. You can see at the top right, it's kind of like Telltale. They'll be like, oh, Drax will remember this, or Gamora appreciates you did this for her, or whatever. And it's not even with just the Guardians, the other characters you meet through along the story. Whatever dialogue you choose to do can help you get out of certain situations, can help you unlock certain things. I remember I was in a bar in one scene and I helped talk this guy down that said he remembered me, but Star-Lord didn't really remember him, and I chose all the right options. And doing that, he gave me a ticket to the collector's like Emporium type thing, and that's how I got to go see all the Easter eggs. So their dialogue is pretty fun when it comes to gameplay wise. It's not too immersive like Telltale, but it does have those Telltale elements. It's kind of lighter on those elements, but it does make you feel though that some things will have an effect. Like at the beginning of the game, you can either choose to keep a certain animal on the ship, or you could keep ship parts. And I didn't choose to keep the parts. I kept to choose the animal. And in one part of the story, the animal really helped Peter escape his room when he was locked in there. So I was wondering what would have happened if I kept the parts instead of the animal. So maybe that's where the replayability comes in, and you can see different type of like what would happen in the future if I did this, if I didn't do this, if it didn't pay my fine I owed to the Norvacopes and tried to get stuff over here. But that's what I like. They did add a lot of replayability elements into this game. I would say though, if you are playing, put this game on hard. I'm playing on hard from the start, from the jump. It is not that hard. It is, I would say it's okay. It's not like Demon Souls type hard. It's not that hard. Like, this is like a medium to me. So you won't die that much. You will die sometimes, but it's nothing too crazy, honestly. And especially with the upgrades you get during the game, so you will have skill points to spend on either Peter or Gamora, Drax, any of the members. Basically, that's how you unlock the skills that I was mentioning before. They each have 4 skills, including the ultimate. And with the skill points, you can spend it on them, and then you could fully max it out. They don't take too long to get the skill points. Every time you finish a combat section, you get XP, and I guess because the game isn't that long, they give you a lot of XP to really get through. I haven't even finished pretty halfway, and I have all of Star-Lord's abilities and everybody else except their ultimates yet. I think it's either Gamora or Drax's ultimate I have right now. So that's where the skill points come in, and they do feel useful when you unlock them, because progressing throughout the game, you are going to need this. You are going to need it combined with your element guns, and it does help. It does help. So I would say the combat, because this is the majority of the game, I'm going to say like 70% of this game has combat sections. It is enjoyable. The gameplay, it is super fun. The kind of linear open worlds, they're fun to explore. A lot of the puzzles, it's an enjoyable experience. You will have fun playing this game. The voice acting is not corny, and getting into things other than the gameplay. Soundtrack is fire. Soundtrack is amazing. It has the 80s 90s bops. Peter Quill, again, like I said, will play it anytime after the huddles to rally the team. It is enjoyable. They have their own soundtrack called Star-Lord. There's a band called Star-Lord in the game, which Peter Quill was a fan of, and those songs are fire too. The graphics, I was playing on my PS5, didn't really encounter a frame drop. The graphics were impressive to look at. Some of the planets I really did like looking at. It was amazing to behold too, like Far Cry 6. The graphics are just cool. Nothing, no texture pop-ins, nothing. The only thing I've noticed, or would be kind of like that took me out of the immersion, I had some issues, some glitches I should say, because I think it was the very beginning of the game. They put you in first person sometimes, and I was sitting in the ship, like the seat, the captain's seat as Peter, and he kind of glitched out of first person, went into third person, and then the story couldn't progress. Some parts, if the story will glitch out, like one time Rocket didn't appear where he was supposed to appear, and he was kind of stuck all the way back. But the quick fix, just reload your last checkpoint, and the checkpoint system's pretty good too. This will fix it immediately. Nothing too game breaking, no Cyberpunk 2077 over here. Nothing too crazy that will break the game and be like, okay, I wasted money on this. Nope, everything. I personally love this game. Is it a top 5 superhero game of all time? I wouldn't say so. Because I have games like Batman, Spider-Man, like on here. You know, It could be up there. I could see that, how a lot of people put it up here. But again, going up to those games, you got Spider-Man PS4, Arkham Asylum, Arkham Knight, Arkham City, and the other type games coming out too. I could see it. It definitely has a contender to be top 5. Might actually be top 5 the more that I think about it now. But it's up to you guys. I'd say this game, if you have the money right now to go and copy a game and you're bored and you want something to play, pick this up. Honestly, you don't have to wait for a sale. I say this game is worth the asking price right now. The developers seem like they actually care for the lore of the Guardians, the lore of the galaxy. They care for these characters. They hired the right people to come voice act them. Nothing was kind of rushed. It didn't feel like a shoe-in. You know, I know a lot of people saw that Square Enix name on it and they got flashbacks to the Avengers. I saw that and I almost hopped on the hate train with the mob mentality, and I was like, oh, this game's gonna be a wash, it's gonna be trash or whatever. But I stuck to my guns and I said, you know what, I kind of had some faith in this game. Let me pick it up at launch, see how it is, and give it a review. And I was pleasantly surprised. You know, my expectations were low just in case, because I was worried. I was starting to get worried the more I saw people talk about it. But you know, I picked it up and I enjoyed it. I'm telling you right now, if you have the money to cop this, cop it on your PC, cop it on Xbox, cop it on your PS5. I heard it's on Switch, but it's like kind of like a cloud Stadia type situation, and you need a really strong internet connection to play it. If you don't, like, you can if you want, but I say if you really want to get the full experience out of it, pick it up on computer, pick it up on your whatever console you have, and you'll enjoy it. Everything about this game is enjoyable. You will find that you're having a lot of fun in this game. So again, my final rating right now, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. There's nothing more I can really say about this game. This game is the epitome of what the Guardians of the Galaxy should be. It is a proper origin story for Peter Quill. It gives you background on all the other characters, and the combat is fun. There's nothing more you can really ask for. This is a love project for, I forget the name of the studio that made it. I know Square Enix produced it, but it's easily shown that a lot of care was gone into this game. There's nothing, you can unlock all the outfits. There's no microtransactions. It is a story-driven single-player game, and it is an amazing one too. One of the better games that have come out this year. Might be a contender for Game of the Year. We'll see though. But again, like I said before, 8 out of 10. Pick it up if you can. So I want to thank you guys so much for watching my review. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I will be trying to stream every Friday and Saturday. I'm going to be starting on my basketball podcast soon. Check that out. Everything linked in bio. The next reviews that are coming out will probably be Jurassic World 2, like Jurassic World Evolution 2, the GTA remaster for Vice City, Vice City 3, San Andreas, you know how it goes, and Battlefield. Whatever things come out, just follow my Twitter. You'll see the updates of what reviews I'm currently working on. I don't know if I'll do Call of Duty Vanguard, just because I played the beta and the alpha and it was horrible. It wasn't a good experience, but I've heard they changed a lot of things, so maybe I'll hop back into the game once it comes out, but I will see. But just be on the lookout for Battlefield, all those other games. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys on my next video.